Huge day here at Levi's Stadium. I don't have quite the same background that I normally do. That's because there's an event. They're turning on the lights at Levi's for the first time. Gonna head out there for the big unveiling in just a few moments. But the 49ers practiced against the Denver Broncos today. And it's weird. There's a lot of conflicting information. I hope you saw my instant reaction. If you haven't watched it yet, go ahead and check it out. I think we already have 30,000 people who have watched that. So that's great because I went through the entire ebb and flow of practice. And it was intense today. The Denver Broncos, especially on the 49ers offense side of the field, the Denver Broncos came out and showed off the defense that finished ranked number 1 in the NFL last year. And then the 49ers struck back, especially when it really mattered. You know, they do team installation period first, and that means that the offense is just running play after play from the same yard line. Then they turn around and they start running move the ball, which is when the chain gang comes out and there's actual down and distance. It's more like a game. You're setting plays up. You're not just running through your practice script. And that's when Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey really caught fire, when it actually mattered. And then late to close practice, that's when we saw the scoreboard turn on. And it was 24-21. Denver ahead, less than 2 minutes to go. The 49ers had to march down the field. And they used Christian McCaffrey. I call it the CMC Bowl because he's from Denver. He obviously grew up watching the Broncos, liking the Broncos. That's who his dad, Ed McCaffrey, played for. Denver's news media was here, and they all enjoyed seeing Christian McCaffrey today. And he recognized Channel 9. That's one of the channels in Denver. He recognized that news station, and he shouted out to them during his press conference. I thought it was cool. And during his presser, Christian McCaffrey also went ahead and I thought did a good job contextualizing what happened at today's practice. Then this is a good level-headed take from Christian.
Get better at the things you might have struggled with.
I know you didn't see Christian there till the very end, but that was him talking about there's good and there's bad in these practices. It's never, especially against a team like Denver, it is not going to be smooth sailing the whole time. They've got professionals too. They were the number 1 pass defense and the number 4 run defense in the NFL last season. This was a playoff team with a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix. So I thought that the main action came on the side of the field where the 49ers offense had to go against that Denver defense. And now here I've got all the notes from practice today. We could talk about absolutely everything. But since we're talking about CMC, I think this is a good lead. He is the ultimate pressure beater, the ultimate blitz beater, right? Because A, he's so important for the 49ers run game. And the run game is what neutralizes an opposing pass rush. It takes steam out of an opposing blitz, but he's also a key check down valve and a key downfield threat in the 49ers pass game. And today, Brock Purdy had one of the quotes of the day. Let's get the article back up on the screen. Purdy today talked about Christian McCaffrey, and this is on the San Francisco Standard. He used the word drool. And I thought that it was perfect context for the word drool. The minute he gets into a one-on-one situation, I'm drooling over that. I want that. And we've got to capitalize on that. And Brock Purdy definitely did during practice today. Once they got into that move the ball work, consistently, the first play of any drive against a very aggressive Denver defense went to Christian McCaffrey. Here, I've got my move the ball notes. 2 drives. 1 CMC rhythm pass, first play. Red zone drive, or no, 2-minute drive. Sorry, first one was a standard full field move the ball. Second one was a 2-minute drive. Throw to Christian McCaffrey on a slant pattern. Another rhythm play to get the drive going. Both of those drives for the 49ers end it in touchdowns. So rhythm pass, Christian McCaffrey ignites the 49ers offense. Denver was bringing it pressure-wise at the start. And, I see there's so many like simplistic pieces of analysis that from people who weren't even at practice, they're just basing it off of tweets here and there. And then there's a lot of confirmation bias too. A lot of people saw the 49ers offense struggle early in practice and they're like, oh, Denver's really good. They're dancing around. Then they want to take whatever hot takes they had from early in practice because they weren't even willing to watch the whole thing before coming to a conclusion. They want to take that and they want to make sure that their initial opinions blanket the whole practice. And that's called confirmation bias. All you're doing for the rest of practice is trying to validate what you initially thought without gathering what happened in the big picture. And that's just really stupid in a practice like the one that we saw today, because this was going to be two good units going at it. And yes, early on, the 49ers offensive line and their just offense as a whole was really struggling to pick up what Denver was bringing pressure-wise. But I will say that Denver was actually bringing pressure from more than just four. Vance Joseph was throwing some blitzes at the 49ers today. Vance Joseph was confusing the 49ers with some stunts up front. I mean, these were looks, especially since Denver was coming out of the 3-4, that the 49ers had not yet seen in 2 weeks of facing their own defense. So the fact that they opened up moving more slowly, it looked like Purdy was sped up early on today. The fact that that was happening, that things were moving fast, that Denver was displaying their full swagger on the sideline, I don't think is all that surprising. I mean, this is a number one defense that deserves some respect, that was giving the 49ers offense its stiffest challenge yet, and also a different challenge schematically than they had faced over 2 weeks of playing against their own defense, right? That you're seeing the 4-3, I get that Salah's been mixing things up for a couple weeks, but it's nothing like what Denver brought to the table today out of the 3-4 with an experienced veteran unit. Anyway, once the 49ers had a chance to breathe, remember the game against Philadelphia back in 2013 when they went and blew out the Eagles? The first quarter, they had like 6 total yards of offense. They couldn't really put a finger on what Philadelphia was doing. They went 3 and out. I felt that practice today in the scripted period went really similarly. And then once Move the Ball hit and Kyle Shanahan was calling plays to counteract what he thought that Vance Joseph might be doing, the 49ers started rolling. And both times it started with Christian McCaffrey. They had to find a way to neutralize John Franklin Myers. They had to find a way to neutralize Nick Bonito, who's going to be the outside linebacker in that 3-4. They had to find a way to neutralize DJ Jones, who's going to be playing that nose tackle for Denver in the middle. And early on, the very first way that they neutralized that was by rolling Brock Purdy out of the pocket. Naked bootleg, he found George Kittle, and that was the first completion, and it's okay, let's calm down, let's start moving. Now, remember that the 49ers were also playing without Trent Williams. He's not hurt, it's just his day off today. You don't want to wear Trent into the ground just for a practice. So Trent was sitting there talking as Dre Greenlaw was out for the Broncos. Got a chance to quickly chat with Dre after practice. He was walking down the hallway. He said he's feeling great. But Dre and Trent were talking, watching these team drills. So two of the key participants weren't even in there. 49ers were also missing Brandon Ayuk. He's not going to be back to the regular season. And the Broncos were down another starter on the defensive side of the ball. I think they were down 3 total starters on the defensive side of the ball. So both teams a little bit shorthanded, but just trying to make it work. 49ers, I think, that receiver position, no Jennings, no Brandon Ayuk, and obviously no Trent, and no Jacob Cowing, no Trent Williams on the offensive line. Sometimes the separation outside the way that you want it might be a little bit lacking. You got to find a way to manufacture some offense, especially if Vance Joseph is so aggressive with the blitz packages that he's bringing. And the way that the 49ers did it was by rolling Purdy out. The way that they did it was by finding blitz beaters. Demarcus Robinson had a slant that was a blitz beater, throw into the teeth of the blitz. That worked for the 49ers. Later on, Christian McCaffrey worked for the 49ers. On the first move the ball drive, where the 49ers moved into scoring range thanks to McCaffrey, thanks to Ricky Pearsall beating Pat Surtain II on the out pattern, and then thanks to George Kittle on the long 20, 25-yard completion, they finally got Denver back on their heels. And that's exactly how the 49ers offense plays. There was also a productive Christian McCaffrey run on that drive. Then Purdy hits Ricky Pearsall for the touchdown against Jahdae Barron. Lightning strikes for the 49ers. Similar story on the 2-minute drive, where they also scored a touchdown. Christian McCaffrey helps spark the drive. You get a big completion on third down clutch moment. This one from Russell Gage. And they got a penalty that time that helped move them to the 15-yard line. And then after Denver gets theirs, I mean, Denver had their plays today. I've talked so much about them. Pat Surtain, the second pass breakup against DeMarcus Robinson. It was Brock Purdy making a play with his legs to set up the throw to DeMarcus Robinson into the corner. So players make plays on both sides. And as Christian McCaffrey told you, it's never going to be all good. It's never going to be all bad. It's going to be, if you run a practice the way that it's supposed to be run, it's going to be competitive. And this one was very competitive between the 49ers and the Broncos. I went deep into this up on the San Francisco Standard. So why don't you go ahead and check this out? Link is in the description. I'm going to take the link right here and toss it into the comment section as well. I'll answer some of your questions. I'm here at Levi's Stadium today. The new stadium lights unveiling. This is going to become the first stadium to ever host a Super Bowl and a World Cup in the same year. So they gave it a multi-million-dollar renovation. I guess they have the most scoreboard square footage of any stadium, I don't know about the world, but in the NFL. And they're going to, as soon as the sun goes down tonight, we're going to get a full demonstration. 49ers also have a new team store. So looking forward to seeing all that. Article is up for you in the description and also in the comment section. But it is all up there. So go ahead and ask whatever questions you want. I've got the full, I'm just looking at some of my notes here to see what exactly we want to start with. The one-on-ones today were very intriguing to me because I thought Alfred Collins had his best session of one-on-ones. Mike, if you could actually send me one of those Collins videos again, maybe I could play one of them up on the screen. We can take a look at Alfred. He won with some power today, and then he won with a quick blow-by move. I don't think we have the blow-by on tape, but I think the 49ers posted where he won with power against one of Denver's interior offensive linemen. I will say that the last 5 or 6 practices have been a steady upward climb for Alfred Collins in as far as how he's performing in his one-on-ones, which is, for the 49ers, something I think they expected, because I've said this over and over. Big frame is going to take a longer time to get used to the leverage needed to succeed at the NFL level. So Collins, yes, Collins is making strides, as we see here, and that is big for the 49ers. And there's about to be a long stretch of opportunity for Alfred Collins because the 49ers are down a ton of defensive linemen. They think they got good news on Michael Williams. They're going to look at it a little bit further with more intensive tests over the course of the next couple days. Maybe even by tomorrow, we'll know a little bit more, probably for sure by Saturday when Kyle Shanahan speaks next. But they hope it's just a hyperextended knee for Michael Williams, who had to leave practice early today. But even Jordan Elliott was out today. That's on top of Sam Okawanu, Kevin Gibbons, Evan Anderson all being out. I mean, the 49ers only really had 6 defensive linemen who you would consider either 1s or 2s with any sort of experience available to go. So they're sucking wind on that side of the ball. It's nothing to panic over because it's August 7th. They don't play a real game for another month, but they're going to have to probably keep on signing bodies to get through these dog days along the defensive line. Rebecca said, I feel like a lot of reporters were paying more attention to the offense, which I think it makes total sense. This was Brock Purdy, 49ers offense, which has to be the locomotive of this train if the 49ers are going to go anywhere this year, against the reigning #1 defense in football. The other side of the ball, the 49ers are banged up. They're young, and I get that they've got to make some progress there. But guess what? We're going to see all those youngsters on Saturday, except for Michael Williams now that he got hurt. But we're going to see those youngsters on Saturday. We're not going to see Brock Purdy on Saturday. We're not going to see Ricky Pearsall and Christian McCaffrey. Maybe we see a bit of Pearsall, but I doubt it. We're not going to see CMC and Purdy on Saturday. So the work, the real work, the stuff that we can glean good information from, that was coming on the offensive side of the ball against Denver's defense today. Saturday is going to be about the reserves and about the younger players, and the 49ers defense is much more populated with those guys. Saturday will be about special teams. Today was about the A-listers on the offensive side of the ball, and they went to war with Denver. This was a battle with Denver. I talked about the swagger that Denver showed at the start of this practice, and they were making plays. You keep on talking about John Franklin Myers. Nick Bonito's a really good player too. Zach Allen is an intimidating force. Can't wait to see that defense once they have Dre Greenlaw back. Talanoa Hufanga is playing there next to Jahdae Barron, and obviously Pat Surtain II. 49ers were tested today, and I think that they rose to the occasion over the end of practice. You know, I talk about the confirmation bias that people have. There's so relative little mention of the fact that the 49ers had 2 move the ball drives and 2 touchdowns. And anybody who knows how to track an NFL practice and follow along with what's happening knows that move the ball is when the money's made. That will show you, especially in a joint practice, where a team is actually at. And the fact that the 49ers were able to put those 2 scoring drives together to close this practice was probably the most valuable data point that we got out on that field at Levi's Stadium today. Burford was at tackle, but again, Burford did fine today. I mean, this is the thing. Like, everybody's like, oh, Denver got a lot of pressure early. What's wrong with the 49ers offensive line? The whole offense just wasn't in sync for the 49ers in the first couple team periods. That's when they just weren't ready for the new looks that Denver was throwing them. They hadn't adjusted yet. We've seen this happen even in games in the season for the 49ers. I bring back Philadelphia 2023. They ended up scoring 40-plus points, even though they didn't do anything. 6 total yards in the first quarter. So early on, yes, there was no Trent Williams. Spencer Burford was at left tackle. But you can't point and say, oh, it was Burford's fault. It was Ben Barch's fault. Dominic Pooney's terrible. Colton McKivitz, no. Brock Purdy forgot how to play. The offense as a whole is 11 men. And collectively, Denver was better at the start of this practice. But the beauty of football is that you make a couple intricate adjustments, and all of a sudden the whole thing tilts downhill. You go from fighting uphill to going downhill. And the 49ers, once they installed the blitz beaters that they needed to have to beat the pressure that Vance Joseph was bringing, all of a sudden everything changed. They went right down the field twice, and that closed practice today. So that was the point of this practice, was to get some of this work in. Spencer Burford is competing to be the swing tackle, and he's better at tackle than he was at guard for the 49ers. He's a tackle now for San Francisco. And down the stretch today, they needed decent left tackle play, and they definitely got it from Spencer Burford since Trent Williams had that day off. Oh, was that a follow? I'm sorry. Big Brick 84, did you ask something else? Sorry. Oh, here. Okay, so this was a follow-up to your question above, where you asked, let me make this a bit bigger. I'm obviously not in my normal spot today. Who on the O-line seemed to be the weakest link consistently against that Broncos front? Well, when they were struggling early on, I thought the Broncos were getting interior pressure. So that's going to be Barch, Brendel, Dominic Pooney. I have to watch the tape to know exactly whose fault all this was, but Denver was also blitzing. They were also throwing it looked to me to be some complex stuff, and Kyle Shanahan confirmed that when I asked him about it after practice. He met with Vance Joseph, who's the Broncos defensive coordinator, this morning, and they talked about throwing the kitchen sink at each other. Shanahan tested Joseph. Joseph tested Shanahan. It's exactly what you want, because you need to expose your team to these looks before the games actually count. So I thought that Denver made most of its hay up the middle, because it was a 3-4, and we saw a 3-4 end. John Franklin Myers with, I thought, a couple sacks early on. We saw DJ Jones with a nice win on one of those sacks. Nick Bonito then came in from the outside. Seemed to be against the right side when Nick Bonito first came in for the first tackle for loss. It was probably McKivitz, but I would have to see the tape to give you a truly confident and accurate answer. Post your questions. How did D-line look against Denver? Well, I was on the offensive side of the field, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I was watching that closely. But based on what I understand, there was some fatigue for the D-line, but Nick Bosa looked really, really good. So it was Bosa basically carrying the unit, and then the other, yes, guys like Kalia Davis, guys like Sebastian Valdez, CJ West, Alfred Collins, they had to step in. I know Collins had one nice pressure today to force Bo Nix out of the pocket. And so he's making strides. That's what you like to see. But I think we're going to get a much closer look at all of these younger guys. We know Bosa's good. I don't need to see Bosa on Saturday, but I want to watch some of these other 49ers defensive linemen when they do play the Denver Broncos in the actual game. Pearsall versus Surtain was fun. Surtain beat him in a one-on-one. Then Pearsall beat him in team drills on 3rd and 4 out pattern. That was huge. And then Pearsall beat Jahdae Barron for the touchdown. So Pearsall and Surtain didn't go against each other as much as you'd think. Surtain against DeMarcus Robinson was something that we actually saw a little bit more of. And he had the pass breakup against DeMarcus. But on the very next play, DeMarcus was working against another Denver defensive back. And on that one, he did deliver a score for the 49ers with just seconds left. It was a dramatic finish for DeMarcus Robinson and San Francisco's offense. You could read all about it. It's up on the San Francisco Standard right there up on the screen. Check it out. Link is in the description for you. So, unfortunately for the 49ers, Jordan James has broken his finger. This is rough news because he just came off of missing a couple days with the knee injury. James with the broken finger means he's going to have surgery and he's going to miss a couple weeks. I'm sure they'll put a splint on it and he'll be back sooner than a 6-week period. Shanahan said a couple weeks, but I was really looking forward to seeing Jordan James in the preseason. I think we're going to see a heavy, heavy dose of Corey Kiner now. Corey Kiner, Patrick Taylor Jr. is more of a veteran trusted agent for the 49ers, so he probably will have to be suited up for these preseason games, at least on Saturday, to help the 49ers get enough of a snap load at the running back position. But I think it really is lining up to be the Corey Kiner show for San Francisco. Amir Abdullah has also been eating a lot of snaps for the 49ers, and I would expect that to continue here over the preseason. Was Purdy able to see the blitz coming? Yeah, I mean, that's why they started moving the ball, is because he started executing on his blitz beaters. Like I said, I have blitz beater to DeMarcus Robinson, blitz beater to Kyle Juszczyk, blitz beater to Christian McCaffrey twice for Brock Purdy. But Purdy was good today. I mean, Kyle Shanahan never compliments his quarterback if his quarterback played poorly. And I have it tweeted out right here. Kyle Shanahan will give a neutral, ambivalent answer if he's asked about his quarterback and the quarterback played poorly. Today, Kyle Shanahan said, I tweeted a lot today, quote, "I thought Brock had a really good day. Put him in a lot of challenging situations, and I thought he handled most of them well," end quote. So that's as close to the source as you're going to get, is Kyle Shanahan. There's this obsession that people are talking about with interceptions, and the 49ers didn't really throw interceptions, whether it was Purdy or Mac Jones, in actual team period work. That's another thing. Yeah, people will take what they saw in the practice field and twist it so far out of context that it misrepresents everything that happened out there. There was 7-on-7, or it wasn't even 7-on-7 work. It was like 4-on-4, 5-on-5 work where they're running through routes and some passing drills where they're running on air, no pass rush. And it's just basically guys trying to get open, quarterback locking in on one player. and throwing the football. That's where the interceptions today happened. That's where Upton Stout got his interception today. Well, no, his was on one-on-ones, I think. Yeah, his was on one-on-ones. But unless here, first off, it's practice. So if an interception's happen in 11-on-11s, you better put it in context. Otherwise, you don't know what you're talking about. You're not very credible covering the football team. But if you're taking an interception in like work on air without a pass rush, with teams simply working on isolated routes, if you're taking an interception there and counting it as some kind of stat, I mean, that is one of the more idiotic things that I've seen when it comes to analyzing a football practice. And that's where like the actual picks happened today in 49ers practice. So to lead with interceptions in a practice like this, where you had so many opportunities to watch Denver, that number one defense against the really good quarterback in Brock Purdy, and I think Mac Jones has been playing well as number two. When you had so many opportunities to see them in an actual scrimmage setting and you focus instead on a warm-up drill, like, come on now. Let's be smart about how we interpret what we saw today. Mac Jones, if we want to talk about him, he had a deep pass to Robbie Chosen in the team drills that I'm talking about. That was a really nice throw. He throws a lot of nice touch on those deep balls. So deep ball to Robbie Chosen, nice from Mac Jones. And also a good corner out to Tariq Owens, T.O.'s son, had a nice play for the 49ers as well. Both of those money deliveries from Mac Jones. Second team offense didn't move the ball as well, though, consistently as the 49ers first team offense did and move the ball. Will Jordan James be ready for week one of the regular season? Well, Shanahan said a couple weeks, so I would think so, because week one is a month away. So I'm sure that they'll wrap up the broken finger, and hope that he can perform from there. So I don't think Purdy did as well in red zone drills as he did in move the ball, but there was a little bit more ambiguity in the red zone drills. I have him with a touchdown to Pearsall, notebook, touchdown to Pearsall. I have him incomplete pass into the end zone to Pearsall. I have him incomplete to Russell Gage. Then I have a touchdown to Christian McCaffrey, touchdown to Jordan Watkins, and then a possible touchdown run for Brock Purdy. Now, those last three happen on consecutive plays, but they come with an asterisk, and there could have been a sack at some point on those three plays. This is how you could tell if somebody's biased or not covering 49ers practice. They just go out and say, oh, that was a sack. I have it as a sure sack. Or they go out and say, oh, that was a sure touchdown. I have it as a sure touchdown. You don't know. You never know in these practices, because the quarterback can't be taken to the ground. So that means two things. It means, A, the defense can't officially register a sack, but it also means that Brock Purdy can't run a Houdini act. Brock Purdy can't escape, and he's one of the best in the league getting out of those situations. So when that happens, you have to be unbiased, and you have to say, okay, this might have ended up as a sack, but it might also have ended up in a really nice Brock Purdy escape and a touchdown run, because he's done that before in an actual game. And you could say, we don't know what would have happened, but it's okay, because it's practice, and the fate of the world is not dependent on the result of that play. It was a practice play. Once we get to games, we'll see what actually would happen. But I know that based on what Brock Purdy has done in the regular season, based on that electric 10-yard split, I know that stuff like that typically turns into a positive play for the 49ers. So that's how I contextualize it. And then I just report on what I actually saw, and I'll tell you where there's ambiguity regarding whether or not there was a sack. And there's just way too much bias in either direction. Nobody knows what would have been a sack and what wouldn't have been a sack, because you can't bring that guy to the ground. And until a quarterback is brought to the ground, you've seen it time and time again. NFC Championship toe tap play to Kyle Juszczyk from Brock Purdy. There was a defensive back like draped all over Purdy, and he still got out of the way. And he still completed it to Kyle Juszczyk. Those opportunities don't pop up in practice. That's why I'm so excited for actual games. So this, I'm getting this from this guy named Ryan. I have been correct about all the key 49ers issues over the years. So you could either trust the reporting or not, but I've got a notebook full of stuff here, and you could read the long article. You're not going to write it well, but you could read the long article up on the San Francisco Standard. It is here for you, where I go through all of the plays as they happen. You heard from, and I told you that the 49ers struggled. I told you that the offense didn't get going against the Denver defense. You're just not listening. They didn't get going until the move the ball drives, where they looked really good. Listen to Christian McCaffrey. There was some good, there was some bad. It was competitive. If your brain cannot if you can't wrap your head around the fact that there could be good and bad in one practice, and you're just screaming, oh, they struggled, or oh, they were awesome, maybe analyzing or trying to criticize analysis of football is not for you. Because this is a nuanced sport where there are going to be nuanced results. And you have to look at everything and put context around it. And that's exactly what I've done. And that's why more people watch this channel by far than any other place. So don't comment on this channel saying you can't watch it anymore, because to comment, you're clearly watching, because you know that this is the most accurate place to find that nuanced analysis that we need. Yeah, people are craving negativity, but only the people that are loudmouths. And the stuff that's biased is getting what? 5,000, 10,000 views. We put up a reaction and we already have 30,000 people have watched our reaction. It's going to be up to 40,000. It'll get up to 50,000. So I think that there's an overwhelming majority of people that just want accurate 49ers analysis. And that's what we brought here. There was some good, there was some bad. It was competitive. That's all that matters. All right, I'm going to go watch the lights turn on at Levi's Stadium. Everybody, thanks for watching. 49ers Broncos, what actually happened? I think we went through it in detail. It's up there for you on the San Francisco Standard. Nice detailed look at everything is available. Everybody take care.